Diving in zero visibility or even just a very low visibility is hard, but now imagine that you're searching for a person or you're searching for a drowning victim, and you have to, we're human beings, you have to realize that that's not a pleasant thing.
You remember some detail about the first time you had to make a recovery. We were looking for two 19, 20-year-olds. We're at a private lake outside of Jeff City, and there was just enough visibility. I could see what looked like tire tread, and the victim had a black t-shirt from a tire shop. And that's what I remember about it. Making body recoveries is probably the most distasteful part of the whole job, but it is part of it, and you're helping out a family.
The term rescue diving is somewhat of a misnomer, in my opinion, when you're dealing with these situations where you have somebody that goes underwater. You don't want to give up hope. You just hope for whatever reason that they can be rescued, and in that way they do serve the purpose of a rescue diver. The reality is a lot of times if somebody's underwater, it's just within a few minutes they can't be rescued.
It's very common, especially on drownings, that family will be right there on the shore waiting for their loved one to be recovered. We have a relatively challenging task under the water, but then trying to do that in a respectful manner for the family. It's going to allow that family to begin their grieving and bring closure to them.
That's one of our responsibilities, is to be with the families and to keep them updated. And then, of course, the event of when they are recovered. And one of the hardest part of our jobs is death notification. It's something that we do hundreds of times a year here in Missouri, and it doesn't get any easier. It's
going to, provoke some emotions. As a self-defense, I guess, mechanism, you try to objectionalize it as much as you can. If you get caught up in the loss of life, then it's eventually going to start consuming you.
Everybody has a different trigger for what may cause them to be upset about something, or just have it kind of stick in the back of their mind, like they can identify with that family. Maybe same age kids. Most of the time you set all of that aside and do your job.
The one thing that will kill one of us is panic. If you drop into the Mississippi River at about 80 feet deep and you're fighting a current and you can't see and you're crawling around a vehicle and you can barely hang on to it, if that doesn't spark some kind of fear or whatever you want to call it, it's what brings you to the level of awareness that allows you to operate in that environment. And you let that drive everything you do, from how we dive today in our training or how we do our new diver program. And once we have selected the group that we're going to take into a training program, the first thing we'll do is panic proofing. We will induce stress in that environment. You'll be flex cuffed with your hands behind your back, and your feet will be flex cuffed. You'll enter the pool and you have to survive for a minute, because you're going to find out real fast who has a stomach for what we do.
Whenever you're in the water, relying on the air in your tank to get to your face, and that piece of equipment is your sole life support, panicking and getting rid of that because you panic is the last thing you want to do. So when things get very difficult, you get into a real bad situation diving, that's why we train. Raising the training level just makes these guys safer. Most of the time I end up stuck on the surface, not diving, supervising the dive, and waiting for them to come back up, making sure they go home safe to their families.